I was the fastest kid on the football team in 7th grade.
I got a pretty good jump shot, fade away.
I worked for the FBI for 3.5 years.
I played basketball 1 year, I cheerleaded 1 year.
Believe it or not, when I was a teenager, I was a model.
I like to make people laugh.
I've taught grown men how to read and write.
I love astronomy. I love to look at the stars.
I was known
Every single one of us has a gift.
for my hot rod cars.
I played baseball most of my life, and we won the state championships.
For 13 years, I was a firefighter and emergency medical technician.
I love making things, especially like greeting cards.
I was a pretty good running back. I could run a 5-1 and 100 yards.
Not all gifts come wrapped in pretty packages.
I was a very, very angry and mean person.
By the age of 16, I was shooting heroin.
Our marriage started falling apart. I started getting depressed.
I've done so much wrong to so many loved ones.
I missed the birth of my son, something that I thought would never happen.
I just stopped going to work.
I mean, I remember sitting across the street from that store I used to panhandle at, and one night the wind was blowing and a piece of paper blew by, and I sat there thinking, that's my life just drifting away.
Some gifts take years to surface.
I always thought that there was supposed to be a purpose for my life.
Some are yet to be discovered.
I felt like I was screaming and no one was hearing me.
Falling down and getting back up, I think sometimes that's kind of been the story of my life, you know what I mean?
I wanted to be a doctor.
I have a little son, so can't wait to get back into his life.
I'm not a leader, but if nobody's going to take the lead, I'll take the lead.
But every single one of us has a gift.
I'm a mechanic. I'm an auto diesel mechanic, what I do for a trade. And I was working on an engine and I hurt my back. And instead of doing the surgeries, they decided to send me to a comprehensive pain clinic. First thing they thrown at me was Percocet and Oxycontin, you know. I'd eat my prescription in a week or a week and a half. And then I'd start spending my money and then my wife's money, and then next thing I know, we'd be broke. We ended up losing everything we got. We lost our house, we lost our vehicles. I got hooked on them so bad that, man, I laid around the house. I didn't go to work. I didn't want to play with my children no more. I didn't want to do anything.
It's been a struggle my entire life. I've bounced around kind of like a gypsy, so to speak, or a bag lady my entire life, in and out, in and out of homes, my family's homes, in and out of state DSS custody. Well, my mother was really young when she had me, so I grew up really fast. And my mother, like I said, she struggles with addiction, pretty bad. I remember being little and being like, I'll never be like you. And unfortunately, I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, and I became a lot like her. I became an addict.
I was taking their daddy time away from them. I was taking food out of their mouth. I was taking clothes off their back. I mean, you name it. You know, my son's hunt. I took her guns and sold them and pawned them. My little girl's diamond earrings, just anything that had any kind of value that, you know, my mom bought them for her, you know, and she thought a lot of them, and I didn't think nothing of it. I just went in there and just got them, you know, because the only thing that was on my mind is that next prescription drug I could get in my body, the next fix I could get, you know.
It's funny. The funny thing is I didn't start doing drugs till I was late 30s. Yeah. Didn't start smoking cigarettes till my late 30s. We used to go out and drink after work, that kind of thing, and I could handle the drinking for a while. But, so after a while, the drinking eventually led to the drugs. I was on powder cocaine for a little while, and I was still working and doing things responsibly, so to speak, but a few years later, crack cocaine came onto the scene, and that was the end of everything. I think within a year, I mean, I lost everything. Wife-to-be, house.
Once you open that door, it is just full force, and it doesn't care who you are, how educated you are, what color you are, how young or old you are, where you come from, how rich or poor you are. It takes everything from you.
I mean, I gotta be honest, I got high because I loved getting high. But it's an addiction that when you're involved in it, you forsake everything else. And I forsake my son, I forsake my relationships, burned a lot of bridges. I got to the point, one point about 3 years ago, I was living in the woods in a tent. And there were 6 of us. We all had tents, we all supported each other. But I knew it deep down in my heart that's not where I belong, you know. One thing about a Christian, you begin to know who you are in Christ. And I mean, I was raised better than that, you know. My youngest brother's a judge. My oldest brother's a psychiatrist. For me, it was just, it's time to get up. It's time to keep doing what I'm supposed to do. But it's a slippery slope. And those of us who have been there always have that chance of falling over the edge.
The Nashville Rescue Mission unwraps God's gifts.
I was drowning in something that, in another 6 months, if it wouldn't been for God reaching down and grabbing hold of me and cuddling me in his arms, said, "Son, I got you, I've heard your prayer," and bringing me to the mission, in 6 months, my children have been putting me in a box. My little girl, she's 5 years old, and she says, "You still at God's hospital, right?" And I said, "Yes, I'm still at God's hospital." So that's the way she sees it, is God's hospital. And because she sees it's helping Daddy, it's bringing her daddy back.
I have an opportunity to work in the call center. We call and thank the people who have donated to the mission. And one of the things is, you'd be surprised, thousands of people on fixed incomes, when I talk to them, they said, "We're praying for you guys, we're rooting for you guys, we like the work that you guys are doing there." And that encourages me, because there are plenty of people that don't even know us. You know, they may not have come up on the street and pulled up and gave us a bowl of soup, but they're still contributing, putting their money in and praying for us that we don't even know. So I think there are forces at work that we don't even see. We eat the food now, we might complain, but when we came in and we was really, really hungry and beat up on the street, we didn't complain. We ate everything on the plate because we were hungry. We got to remember who we are, but more importantly, remember where we came from.
Some of the most famous names in the world, the ones we admire, the gifted ones, have been homeless at one time or another. Billionaires, Nobel Prize winners. They have Oscars and Emmys, best-selling books. The Presidential Medal of Freedom has gone to someone who once lived on the streets. At some point, in some way, somebody unwrapped their gifts, their power, their potential.
But I think so much is on my shoulders. Even sometimes in the mission, as good as it is, and I love to be there, but I don't always want to be around a bunch of men. I don't always want to be feeling like I'm confined, but for now, that's where I should be.
I want to be in college, doing something with myself.
Everything can change. Everything can change. I've learned so much through my mistakes.
The Hope Center changed my life. I'm a better person, and I love it. I love it here.
Even though I saw my son one time since he was born, his first words were "Daddy," and that just kind of made my heart melt.
All the different seasons I've gone through with God, He's like led me here to the Hope Center, and now I feel like I belong, that I'm loved, and that with all of my scars, that I am beautiful. So
there's a world in need, and that's where God's Spirit is, not in a comfortable fireplace, warm house. Sometimes we've got to roll up our sleeves, get out of our comfort zones, and go help.
The Nashville Rescue Mission. There, but for the grace.